5090 finished very long ago. I'm sure like me your level of anticipation grows. I need to write more songs to improve my portfolio. I never know when I might meet an impresario. Let's have a solo. Questions in my life, this one does vex me so. I need the answers so that I can get on with the show. And so I hope you'll tell me, cause I really need to know. The calendar remains unchecked. Is it FAWM yet?
Good evening. Let's get the caption updated because that is Thursday's caption and it is now FAWM minus 50 days. We have 50 days until February album writing month starts once again. The songwriting challenge in which you have to write, or you're challenged to write, 14 songs in 28 days, an album's worth of music in a single month. Is it possible? Oh, absolutely, it's possible. And I've done that now for over 10 years. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Array of Emotions. Hello, hello. I must apologise for the quality of tonight's show, because I have a feeling, good evening, Wobby, I have a feeling tonight is probably going to be a little bit on the chaotic side. Good evening, Riako Music. I've been up now for about 38 hours solid. Why, you are asking yourself? Well, yesterday at midday, my friend Robin Ince and my friend Steve Pretty walked onto the stage at King's Place in London to kick off the Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols for Socially Distanced People, which was an online streaming event with a small selection of socially distanced real people in the audience from time to time. They were raising money for 4 charities, including Médecins Sans Frontières and Mind. And that show would normally have taken place both at King's Place and at the Hammersmith Odeon, or the Hammersmith Apollo as it is now, to raise money. And I had a ticket for this year's show at Hammersmith, as I do every year. And with COVID, it was cancelled. And I must admit, on December the 3rd, I was a bit glum because the Hammersmith show is absolutely the highlight of my year. It's lovely. You never know who's going to turn up. Robin basically knows a lot of people who he talks into donating their time and their talents and their creativity to entertain us. And the lineup is always something pretty special. Last night I was sitting in my living room watching Robert Smith play 3 songs as solo arrangements from the Cure's album 17 Seconds. At sometime in the small hours of Sunday morning, I was moved to tears by the wonderful Tim Minchin talking about his life and singing White Wine for Christmas and the experience of Christmas from a humanist, atheist, secular point of view. And just every time I see Tim, I think that guy has got his head screwed on. And there was science. We had Helen Chersky, who kept on cycling over to Greenwich to present from the Greenwich Meridian and kept on having punctures. It was chaos. We had Professor Alice Roberts talking or not talking about a super secret squirrel that has been discovery that has been made in the field of archaeology, which apparently has answered some very, very long-standing questions. And those results will be published next year, and I can't wait to read them. We had Professor Chris Lintott from The Sky at Night kicking off a new Zooniverse project, which is basically you can go online and classify 3 sets of photos to see if there's a Type 1a supernova in them. And he set the viewers of the stream last night a challenge of saying, let's try and find a Type 1a supernova that nobody has discovered. And within the space of the 24-hour live stream, not only did they discover a brand new, freshly detected Type 1a supernova, which is a type of supernova which basically involves matter from a large star being sucked onto a smaller star, and eventually the smaller star gets to the size where it goes bang. And because it always goes bang at the same size, you know always that it will output exactly that amount of energy. And that means they can detect how far away it is very accurately. And that means they can refine the measurement of the Hubble constant, which determines the age of the universe. And they did all that within the space of 24 hours yesterday and published the paper as well. So, science, kids, absolutely brilliant. I had a glorious time. I'm wearing a cardigan in honour of Robin's traditional stage attire. And, yeah, I sat through the whole thing, apart from occasional comfort breaks and going off and making coffee at regular intervals. But I think I hit the wall round about 7:30 this morning, and poor old Robin actually had to stand up because he was just sagging ever more slowly and ever more deeply into the armchair that he'd been using for his presenting. Riako Music says, that's brilliant. It was. There will be highlights on the Cosmic Shambles site. They are going to ask Tim and ask Robert and ask various other participants if their routines can be put up on the highlights. But Stuart Lee as Father Christmas apologising for being told by Rishi Sunak that he wasn't allowed to deliver presents this year. So basically asking all parents to pretend they're Father Christmas this year because Rishi Sunak won't let him deliver because COVID and economic crisis. And Father Christmas signed off with the line, never trust a Tory, which I thought was brilliant. Richard Herring was on. We got the show closed out by Harry Hill, who sang My Way backwards. Yeah, you had to be there. It was wonderful. So what that means is that I've been up for 38-ish hours, and I was texting Wobby earlier, and she said, have you had any sleep? I lay down for a bit and my eyes closed, but I was still buzzing. It always takes me a day or two to come down from these shows. And when it's Hammersmith, I don't get home until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning because it's always one of these things that overruns. But I'm still buzzing now. So I think I can probably make it through the rest of the stream. I'll probably stream for about an hour. I've got stuff for you, amazingly enough. So, first of all, let's get the housekeeping out of the way. Hello to my new YouTube subscriber, Electron Ash, who I made friends with in the chat on the 9 Lessons and YouTube stream last night. Just all the people in the chat were lovely, lovely people. So, if any of you have stumbled across this stream as a result of our interactions on the chat yesterday and this morning, and hello. I had a wonderful time, and I hope you did too. If you're watching this on Twitch, then if you're not already following me, I would really appreciate it if you followed me. It's all about building up the algorithms. If you're watching the edited version of this, which I'll probably do tomorrow when I eventually drag myself out of bed, then please subscribe. I'm trying to build up my subscriber levels on YouTube as much as I am on Twitch. Please click the little like button below the video if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching the embedded player on my blog, please scoot over to YouTube and give us a like, because it all helps. So, hello. Yeah, it's been a packed 3 days. I mean, when did I last talk to you guys? Thursday? So, Friday, for some godforsaken reason, I decided that because I'd got to go and pick up a prescription from the doctors, I was going to do the environmentally friendly thing and walk there. So I put on me hiking boots and me barber and set off across the fields to Wootton Under Edge, which is about 3.5 miles away from where I am. Hadn't really taken into account the fact that it's been raining quite a lot here for the last week. So by the time I'd made it across the first field, which had been ploughed, even across the public footpath that leads across it, each foot was basically enclosed in about a 30 centimetre ball of very, very heavy, very, very smelly, but very, very earthy and lovely smelling soil, which gave me quite a good cardio workout, I think. And by the time I got to Wootton, I was covered in mud. I was quite damp, quite hot. Picked up my meds and thought, I'm not walking across those fields again. So I went round past a local landmark, which, if you've seen the Benedict Cumberbatch, Martin Freeman Sherlock series, you will recognise as the supervillain's house, Appledore, from the episode from season 3, I think it was, which is actually the home of the boss of the engineering company Renishaw, which is my village's big employer. So all in all, on Friday, I ended up walking nearly 8.25 miles, which, considering that I've spent most of the previous fortnight in here playing with all my lovely toys and making music for you lot, and averaging a daily step count that barely made it into 4 figures, my fitness tracker watch was going, you've done 18,000 steps, what's going on? And to be frank, by the time I got home, most of my body was going, what's going on as well? So it was a bit slow out of bed on Saturday morning, I have to say. Then Saturday to Sunday has been watching the King's Place stuff online. And despite that, I have been working on one of the tracks that I shared with you on Thursday. So I'll kick things off with a bit of music. So if I go to my Ableton screen, as you can see, this is the track Brumation, which, if you remember, is what reptiles do, because reptiles do not hibernate. When they get slow and torpid in winter, it's known as brumation, and that's from bruma, which is the Latin word for the shortest day of the year, which takes place, I think Wobby looked it up for us on Thursday, it takes place on the 21st. I've added stuff. There's a lot more ethereal earth and hybrid keys and a whole bunch of other stuff, and there's now sort of rough sketches of guitar. It may change, trying to pull off the guitar solos and pieces that I've got in my head when I've been awake for 30 odd hours probably means that they'll need recording when I go back to this tomorrow and go, oh, what was I thinking? But let me play it to you. This is what it sounds like as of right now. This is Brumation by me. So that was Brumation, and Wobby's given me a heads up that my mic was a bit considerably quieter than the music's been, which I keep on tweaking levels and things. And the other reason is I've got the keyboard shelf out because I've got a nice lighty up keyboard that I want to share and show off. And what it means, of course, is I'm further away from the microphone. So I'm going to gently slide my keyboard back into its home under the desk. And Wobby says that is smoother. Good. I can hear it just reverbing a bit on the monitors in here. But if that's good, that's good. So, yeah, as I said in the chat, and as you can see on the window, that's my first time out of the blocks with Native Instruments' Guitar Rig 6. When I got the Complete Control audio interface in the summer, after my long-term audio interface, my Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 passed away and sadly started blue screen of deathing on me, I bought a Native Instruments audio interface because it had quite good reviews, and it came with a bunch of bundled software, including the cut down factory selection demo version of Guitar Rig 5. And demo versions bug me. I have to say this. The limited functionality and the limited number of presets, I'm not a great fan of what is rather un-PC-ly described as crippleware. I'm quite happy with things like Newfangled Audio's Pendulate synth, which if you haven't downloaded it, go to the Eventide site and fill in your name and your email, and they'll send you a link to download Pendulate, which is a very, very funky monophonic synthesizer. And that's a nice idea because you get the monophonic synth as a free plugin. And if you like it and you can really get to know what the monophonic version does, then you can buy the polyphonic version of it, which is called Generate. And I'll probably end up doing that next year because I spent money again this month, which I kind of hadn't been planning on doing. But the good news is I have a new cooker. It's been installed. The old one's been taken away, and I have cooked 3 meals in it now without plunging the house into darkness. So it seems to have fixed my electrical problem. It was the old cooker that was tripping the RCD in the house. And shiny new oven, and it's all black and stainless steel, and goodness me, it gets hot quick. Energy efficiency is an A, which I didn't think I'd notice the difference, but the first time I opened the oven door and it nearly melted my glasses. So hurrah for that. But with buying the Complete Control S88 Mark II, I pulled the plug, or pushed the button rather, and bought Complete 13. And Complete 13 comes with Guitar Rig 6, and oh boy, it's huge fun. I will no doubt be playing a lot of guitar this week because there are so many different presets, so many different modules on it. There's delays, there's granular delays, there's all sorts of bonkers compressors and filters, and I mean, good God, there's even a ring modulator on that. And ring modulators, hold that thought about ring modulators, because if you can get your hands on a ring modulator, it will become relevant. But yeah, so 2 tracks of fairly clean guitar on this, and another outing for something that's become kind of a favourite of mine over the years. The prog rock guitarist's absolute must-have piece of kit, the E-bow, the energy bow. It's a PP9 battery driving a set of very, very powerful magnets. And the idea of it is that the magnets rattle your guitar strings so you can sound notes on your guitar without getting the attack that you would get from plucking the string with your fingers or with a pick. And if I solo the guitar, you can hear what it sounds like through Guitar Rig. It's rather nifty. So you get the idea. Instant Robert Fripp, basically. Although Mr. Fripp never used an E-bow, apparently, which I find staggering. But he has other technologies at his disposal, and it's all in the fingers and the way he plays. So kudos to Mr. Fripp, but I'm going to stick with my E-bow. I've got an E-bow and I like it. And so that's Brumation. That's kind of where I've got to this week with my own music. But as I said when we started the show, and I very hastily changed the caption, it's 50 days till February album writing month starts again. It's 50 days until we can really crack our knuckles and get back into writing songs. And over the last couple of streams, we've talked about the paradox of choice. And the idea is that when you're presented with a huge variety of things, whether they be guitar effects or whatever else, the more things that you have to choose from, the harder it is to make a decision. So this happens with your creative choices when you're writing songwritings as well. You may get blocked because you're literally overwhelmed. Wouldn't it be a nice position to be in? You may be completely overwhelmed with all the ideas about things that you want to do to write your songs. So why not apply the solution to the paradox of choice to your songwriting? It really helps give your creative juices a kick if you limit the choices that you are able to make for your songwriting activities. And if you've taken part in February album writing month or 5090, you will be aware that there are a lot of challenges that are issued to participants to get your creative options narrowed down to the point where you can say, I'm going to pick that one and I'm going to go with it. And those challenges, they're huge fun to take part in. And what I thought I'd do for the rest of this show is just go through a couple or 7 of the songwriting challenges that we have come up with over the years on 5090 and February album writing month. 5090, I'm using the term and I haven't explained it. Will's Robin, good evening. Hi, Robin. 5090 is the big brother of February album writing month. Rather than FAWM, where you write 14 songs in the 28 days in February, 5090 starts on the 4th of July, and in the 90 days between the 4th of July and the 1st of October, you write 50 songs. It's kind of a marathon where FAWM is more like the 400 meters, so you can ease off a bit during 5090, which may be doing so during FAWM. If you want to really get your numbers in, you've got to be on it all the time in February. But during this last summer's 5090, we actually came up with a challenge on this Twitch channel, which was, if I go back to screen one, the nonnet challenge. So a nonnet is a type of poem. There are 9 lines in the poem. There are 9 syllables in the first line. There are 8 syllables in the second line, all the way down to there being just 1 syllable in the 9th line. And I thought it was a cool poetic structure. I'd never heard of it before I actually researched the stream to present this stuff to you guys. And Wobby said during the stream, this would make a really good 5090 challenge, and I totally agreed. So we put it up on the nonnet challenge and thought, maybe we'll get half a dozen songs out of it. I think by the time we actually finished 5090, we ended up with 16 songs that were submitted as nonnet, or had lyrical forms that were nonnets. And I asked Wobby earlier if she wouldn't mind if I played hers, which also is a really, really good summary of one of the other great things about having a deadline, like you've got to write 14 songs in 28 days, because that means you've got to silence your inner censor. So here's Wobby's Inner Censor Shutdown, which is a nonnet lyrically and a cracking good song.
Maybe I should find the words to say the secret that I hide away. Maybe I should let it out, rant and rave, gush and spout. It's fine where it is, just leave it there. That's that then. I knocked, locked.
So that's Inner Censor Shutdown. Thank you, Wobby, for letting us share that. I love that. Short and sweet, absolutely to the point, bang on message. And Wobby says, I've done quite a few since then too. Yeah, Wobby keeps on posting them on Facebook and on her site. So that's wobbywobbit.com. Wobby? Wobby's doing an online streaming gig a week tomorrow. So go over to wobbywobbit.com. Wobby says, yeah, that's the URL. And find out the details. And you will probably stumble across Ryako Music and Array of Emotions and myself during that event. So that's a week tomorrow. On the shortest day of the year, on Broomer. How appropriate is that? Ryako Music says, cool, were all the nonnet songs quite short? Yeah, they were. When you've only got 9 lines, it tends to limit you. But the interesting thing was that some of them actually still sounded like verse, chorus, bridge, which I thought was incredibly cool. It's worth giving them a listen. So head over to the 5090 website. All the songs are still up there. They'll be up there until mid-June next year, when the site will be scrubbed clean for the 2021 5090 challenge. But yeah, I was chuffed to bits that people took that challenge up and ran with it, which I, to be honest, wasn't expecting. And I had to go with a couple, but mine were sort of angry political songs, and I made a decision after 5090 finished that being an angry old white guy railing at the unfairness of life when I've got a very, very privileged life, really. I mean, look at this place. I can't really justify getting angry. And life's too short. And I made the decision at the end of 5090 that was it. I'm not going to do protest songs anymore. I'm not going to do politically oriented songs anymore. I want to tip the balance because there's enough anger and enough hate in the world. I want to tip the balance towards nice stuff, kind stuff, understanding stuff, compassionate stuff. So that's kind of going to be my mission statement over the next rest of my life, pretty much. So the instrumental albums that I've been doing since 5090 came to a close is kind of me doing a detox on my headspace. So I'm not writing any lyrics at all, but I'm getting into writing a lot of instrumental stuff. And since 5090 finished, which was, given that this is show 10 of Is It FAWM Yet, finished 10 weeks ago, it's been a way of getting my inner thoughts and my lyrical engines degreased and decoked and generally tuned up. So we'll see if my planned strategy actually comes off or not. But I'm going to do instrumental albums this month because Decembering will be this month's Pay What You Want album on Bandcamp. I'll be doing another album of instrumentals on January. And following a discussion of the phenomenon known as Boltzmann Brains on Robin's show last night. Boltzmann Brains are basically a concept which plays with indeterminacy and the infinite length, pretty much, of time it will take before the heat death at the end of the universe. That in space-time, all the time, there are virtual particles popping in and out of existence. And Boltzmann Brains is the concept that some of these particles might pop in and out of existence in very organized forms. And if you've got a very, very long period of time for random events to take place, you may get something that is capable of thought and observing the universe around it. And that is a concept that is known as a Boltzmann brain. But somebody on the chat, I've forgotten who it was. It may even have been the person that Robin was talking to at the time. I really should have been taking notes. But when you've been awake for 24 hours, you tend to forget the really important stuff like that. Somebody came up with the idea that if you had an infinite amount of time and an infinite universe, that somewhere in the universe you may eventually encounter the phenomenon of a spontaneous grand piano. And I thought that was absolutely wonderful. So that's going to be my album title for January, Spontaneous Grand Piano. And one of the reasons why that appealed to me, if we go back to Ableton, and I share my screen with you, is that, let's create a MIDI track, and then I'm going to drop Contact. There we go. Complete controls the driver for me keyboard. So Complete Contact has a bunch of pianos in it. There's one there, the Giant. I also have another one called the Maverick. There's another one called Noir. And they're all grand pianos or upright pianos that I can simply click on. There's the Giant. And then I'll tell you what, I'm going to delete contact. I'm going to do it in complete control because I know how to do it from my keyboard. So bear with me a second. We'll just drop what I was talking about in the first place, which is right now. This means that I can now, and we'll go to the other camera. So what I can do now is I click me. So just move my microphone out of the way. Right, so I have lovely coloured screens on here. And I can just scroll between various things until I find, say, there are rather a lot of machines on here. Talk amongst yourselves for a minute. There we go. The Gentleman. So now I can click on the browser on this screen and audition various treated versions of The Gentleman. That's doled up, harsh upright. Well, that's rather nice. So we'll have mellow upright. And then I'm going to add a plug-in, and I'm going to use Native Instruments' rather splendid reverb and echo plugin, which is called Replica, which I also got as part of Complete 13. Where's it gone? There it is. And this has a nice default plugin setting of dotted eighth note reverb and echo, which is rather nice. So that's kind of what you should expect in the album for January. There will be lots of spontaneous grand pianos and a certain amount of upright pianos as well. So that's what I'm going to be doing for January. And again, that's another kind of challenge. And if I go back to the 5090 site, there are existing challenges on the 5090 site for using different instruments. I'm sorry the French Dogue isn't here, because when we were chatting on Melstream on Wednesday, the subject matter gravitated towards the actor Christopher Walken. Do I need to say more? Yep, I have a cowbell and I'm going to use it. Why have I got a cowbell? Well, our wonderful form friend Darcy Strutt every year issues a songwriting challenge on February Album Writing Month and on 5090. And that challenge is the hashtag Cowcore challenge. Simple challenge. Whatever song you do, incorporate a cowbell into it and add the tag to your song on the 5090 site or the February Album Writing Month Cowcore, and people will come. People do things with cowbells that I'm sure the dairy industry never saw coming. Let's just put it at this. Mel says, there was also a huge dog poop conversation in my stream too. Yeah, there was, wasn't there? Yeah, let's move on. So, yeah, cowcore, get yourself a cowbell. It's a great way of kickstarting or skewing or warping your normal songwriting practices. Because if you know that you're going to be beating 7 bells out of a large chunk of cast iron with a wooden stick, it tends to make you change the dynamics of your songs. And that's great because you're doing something different. It's getting you out of your comfort zone. All right. Another challenge. Let's go over to tripod cam because despite the fact that I've been awake for what is now going on for 40 hours, I have actually been together enough to prepare this week's show. Far more than I've done in previous shows, in fact. I've even, look at that. It's actually camera ready. This is the Story Cube challenge. You heard of this stuff again? So Story Cubes are dice that have icons or images on them. And the idea is very simple. You throw the Story Cube dice on a convenient flat surface, or if you're me, an Ableton push that is actually playing notes as I drop. So, you could actually build in. The French Doggy is here. Here we go, especially for you. As promised. So, hello, and thank you for stopping by. Right, let's go back to tripod cam. Story cubes. They're a brilliant idea. There are loads of different flavors of them, but the idea is that each face of each die has some form of icon on it. And you can throw as many dice as you want. And then the idea is that you put a story together from the, oh right, there's a TP there and a block of flats. So it could be somebody who started off living in a pyramid and maybe lost the key and lost a court case, so they had to move somewhere else, and they had to do it in a certain amount of time because they had burning issues to create, despite the fact that they were naturally slow. But they eventually, after living in temporary accommodation in a tent, got as busy as a bee and moved to a skyscraper. So there you go. There's a story made up on the spot using story cubes. They're a lovely idea. You can pick up boxes of these from your favourite online retailer or quite a few bookshops for not very much money. And they are very, very good fun. Again, this is another challenge that Darcy issues. And if you haven't got a pack of story cubes of your own, Darcy is lovely because she runs the Story Cube Challenge and she will actually roll a set of story cubes for you and tell you what you have to work into your song. Again, it's a great way of completely revamping your writing process because it forces you, if you commit to it, it forces you to make creative decisions that maybe you wouldn't have normally done. So we've had the Nonet challenge, which is about a specific poetic form. We've had the Cowcore challenge, which is about using a specific instrument, in which case it's the cowbell, because let's face it, any piece of music needs more cowbell. And there's the Story Cube challenge, which is writing a song to incorporate a specific number of predetermined lyrical or story elements, narrative elements into your song. So, great idea. What else have we got? Well, remember I was talking about ring modulators earlier? One of the other challenges that crops up every year on FAWM at least, and it's usually kicked off by G Slade, another die-hard regular on Form and 5090. And that is the Doctor Who challenge, which is you write songs about our favourite Time Lord. And there have been variants on the Doctor Who challenge, and I don't know if you can read that there. There is another musical challenge that takes place, which is kind of a bit different from all the others. So this is, if you like, the 8th or the 0th challenge that I'm going to cover, and that's an exquisite corpse. And the idea with an exquisite corpse is that you write songs with other people. But here's the deal. The first person in the group writing the exquisite corpse writes the first minute or so of the song. Then they send their minute to a person who is nominated as Stitcher, who's the person with a digital audio workstation who can literally stick these minute-long chunks together. And they send the last 10 seconds of the song that they've just written to the next person in the group. So that person listens to the 10 seconds that has immediately preceded their piece of music, and then builds on those 10 seconds and constructs another minute of music on that last 10 seconds of the first minute of music. And then you can see where this is going. They send their minute's worth of music to the Stitcher, who adds it to the minute that they've already received from the first person taking part. And person 2 sends the last 10 seconds of their song to the third person taking part. Okay, lovely. Really, really interesting way of doing it. It's usually considered polite to tell the person you're sending your 10 seconds to what key you're writing your music in, and B, it's also very, very helpful if you tell them what beats per minute you record it at, if you're using a digital audio workstation or a click track, or even something if you've just got a metronome that you're watching or you're listening to on headphones while you're performing. And what has this got to do with the Doctor Who challenge? Well, several years in succession, people have used a ring modulator on their vocals to sound like a Dalek. And there have been Dalek exquisite corpses. Not going to play you one of them because, I mean, they go on for 20 minutes, and hearing a lot of pepper pots, which is what Daleks are normally referred to by Whovians, hearing a lot of shouty pepper pots can get a little wearing, but as a good laugh and as a fairly decent joke, the Dalek challenge, get yourself a ring modulator, shout into the microphone with the ring modulator treating your voice, and you're instant Dalek. And it is good fun being a Dalek every now and again and getting very shouty. So exquisite corpses take many forms. They do not have to be about Daleks. They do not have to be about Doctor Who. They can be absolutely open season, where you can do whatever you want in your 10 seconds, and then that gets dropped into people doing whatever they want for their minute and the next person's minute and the next person's minute. But to be frank, it does pay off if you pay attention to what's going before. Don't be that guy who is just waiting for the conversation, which is basically what Doctor Who does, is Doctor Who waits for the conversation to stop, because that means that then it's his turn to talk. And don't be Doctor Who. Listen to what is coming before your section. Don't just wait for that section to stop and then crash on with whatever you're doing that doesn't fit. It's really, really better if you demonstrate that you're hearing what other people are playing. As a musician, when you're performing live, you need to listen to the other members of the band. You need to respond to what the other members of the band are doing. And even though you're sitting on your own with a little 10 seconds of music from somebody else that might have been done a month ago, that same principle applies. Respond to what you're hearing. Have fun with it. Pick out a particular rhythmic motif or a particular sound. Sample it, edit it, cut it and paste it. Make that the rhythm of your bit. It's so much fun actually building on what goes before rather than just saying, well, I'm just going to do my thing now. Because you can come over as a bit of a dick if you do that. And the more seamless an exquisite corpse gets, the better it sounds and the more people like it. And I love being a stitcher because I can help that seamlessness to come out. So if you ever want an exquisite corpse stitching, I'm your fella. But there are also exquisite corpses that pick a particular genre. There's the experimental exquisite corpse on 5090. There's hello. There's always a prog rock progressive corpse. There's an acoustic progressive corpse. There's a complex production kitchen sink anything goes exquisite corpse, and there's a simple lo-fi acoustic simple production exquisite corpses. There is something for your skill set available as an exquisite corpse, and working with other people in the February album writing month community and making a song together doesn't half build that community up. So highly recommend taking part in an exquisite corpse next time out of the blocks. So I'm just catching up on the chat. Wills Robbins says Daleks are the best though. Oh, absolutely. I'm going to make a complete fool of myself because this happened a very long time ago. Some of you guys might not even know that I've done this. All right, this is 4 minutes 38 seconds of me making a complete idiot of myself. Okay, this is I Promised You the Galaxy, take 3 tracks, 1 and 2 up 2 dB, and we'll try an opto compressor on the vocals this time. Hold it. Baby.
That is what I said.
You're ad-libbing. We're paying your lyricist $2,000 a day and you're changing his stuff. His lovingly crafted and very expensive stuff.
His mind is inferior. He does not comprehend the grandeur of love as I experience it.
And Baby adequately conveys that sense of grandeur, does it?
It does.
It doesn't rhyme. Or scan.
Irrelevant. We will sweep away all constricting and outmoded forms of musical theory.
Of course.
And remind me what the latest name is that you've decided to release this masterpiece as, please.
Bob.
Right, because
my voice has been compared favourably to Dylan.
of course it has. Only I think our sound engineer meant Dylan the Rabbit from the Magic Roundabout, because your voice is tediously monotonous and you behave like you're from a different planet.
My style is unique. It will forge new musical genres.
And where is Tim anyway? Have you seen him?
Not as such, no.
Fine, whatever. We'll just have to manage without him. Okay, let's go again, and can you try and soften the voice a bit this time, please?
What?
The voice. You're coming across a bit harsh. This is supposed to be a ballad, remember? You know, a love song?
I have deployed my finest speech synthesis unit.
Yeah, well, Tim says you sound like you've swallowed a ring modulator.
He knows nothing of creative expression.
And I'm sure he'll love hearing you telling him that when he reappears. Are you absolutely sure you've not seen him around recently?
Affirmative.
Well, I'm sure he'll turn up when the pub's open.
He will not. I exterminated him.
What? Have you any idea how expensive fully qualified sound engineers are these days?
He made awful coffee. I had to destroy the percolator.
Why is it I bet Simon Cowell never has days like this?
I can exterminate him too, if you like.
Maybe taking this gig does have some advantages after all. Okay, this is I Promised You the Galaxy, take 4.
That was uploaded to YouTube on March the 25th, 2012. And as you could see, both from my considerably less grey goatee and the gear that I was using at the time. I mean, that was my entire studio is this thing back then. It's a Korg D3200. Yeah, I had fun with that. The Bob is still lurking around somewhere. I think he may even be behind me on those shelves. He'll be lurking somewhere. Holy God, says Ryako Music, 2012. Yeah, I know, right? It's a long time ago. A lot of water under the bridge since then. But I thought I did okay as a Dalek, don't you? I mean, ring modulators, as I say, there are quite a few fairly decent free VST plugin ring modulators out there. And I have to say, being a Dalek does entail a certain amount of fun. Let's say that. Okay, so Dalek challenge, ring modulator challenge, find an instrument challenge, Doctor Who challenge. Another really, really interesting, fun challenge that I was tempted by but just ran out of time this year was one that Owl sets every year. And she basically points you at a website called Atlas Obscura. I don't know if you're aware of it, but it's a website about strange places on the planet. It's a lovely website. It's about finding weird, out of the way, visually striking, or just plain interesting places and documenting them on the web. So the idea is that you pick a random page on Atlas Obscura, which gives you a location. You then write a song about that location. So I'm really going to try and make time to do the Atlas Obscura challenge next February, when February Album Writing Month starts again. Another challenge that I came up with this year has to do with me being a bit of a movie nerd. Well, a bit. Kind of at the low end of where I am when it comes to films and the cinema. And there is a very famous, very old, and very, very, very widely used movie soundtrack, sound effect that you may have heard before. It's this. Heard that before? Let me play it you again. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the Wilhelm scream, which is actually not even named for the originator of the scream itself. It was actually named after a stuntman who gets shot by arrows in a Western film and falls off a horse to the noise of the Wilhelm scream. That sound effect has been used, I think the tally of movies that have used the Wilhelm scream as a sound effect is now somewhere in the order of 500. And it is a rite of passage for film students to incorporate the Wilhelm scream into their sophomore efforts. Or if you're someone like Steven Spielberg or George Lucas, you put it in all your films. So you can hear the Wilhelm scream when just before Luke and Leia swing across the lift shaft in Star Wars, one of the stormtroopers gets shot and falls down off the platform. Wilhelm scream. In the Indiana Jones film, pretty much every 6th or 7th Nazi falls to their death to the Wilhelm scream. In Toy Story, when Buzz gets knocked out of the window by the Anglepoise lamp, he falls out of the window to the Wilhelm scream. It's an amazing movie cliche, but for aficionados, it's always hugely rewarding to hear it crop up. And yes, I have been in cinemas with friends and muttered, Wilhelm scream, when it crops up in movies, as it will continue to do so. So the idea was, okay, let's incorporate the Wilhelm scream into pieces of music. And I picked up on something that Tom Spademan, Tom S, on Form and 5090 did a few years ago, where he actually had a song that was just called Wilhelm Scream, and it finished with the protagonist of the song emitting the Wilhelm scream, and the song stopped. So it was really interesting seeing what people came up with, and much respect to Fuzzy, who put the Wilhelm scream through Paul Stretch. Do you remember when we talked about Paul Stretch a few weeks ago? Paul Stretch is a sound mangling application that's totally free, and it lets you slow down a WAV file to ridiculous amounts. So you can take a WAV file. I mean, you can see it's pretty damn old school. Paul Stretch is actually built into the most up-to-date versions of Audacity. So if you've got Audacity and you load something into Audacity, you can just use Paul Stretch within Audacity as a sound effect. But you can slow a WAV file down, and it uses granular resynthesis to basically chop it into little chunks and then stretch them out. And you can slow down a piece of audio by thousands of %, and you get really interesting results. And Fuzzy got extremely interesting results doing that to the Wilhelm scream this summer. So have a look on the 5090 site for that. It's well worth checking out. Wobby says you can do it in Cakewalk too. I think most DAWs let you slow down or warp stuff to a certain extent, but Paul Stretch really does push the envelope. It's great fun. So that's the Wilhelm Scream Challenge. And what else? One more I've got, which is from our good friend Alex, who you will know as Metalfoot on 5090 and February Album Writing Month. And Alex issues the Fake It Challenge every year. And what does that entail? Okay, I don't know if you guys heard of a fake book. So a fake book is usually a musician's crib sheet. It's a set of songs, but you don't get all the music to the songs. A fake book is literally, well, it's these chords and these are the lyrics. And that's it. So you just get annotations in the lyrics where the key changes or the chord that you use has to change. And that's all you get. So the idea of the Fake It Challenge is that you're given a set of chords and a set of lyrics, and that's it. It's up to you to come up with the melody, and it's up to you to come up with the arrangement and everything else, but it uses those lyrics and those chords. You can use other chords as well in between if you like, but so the Fake It Challenge is another one that I keep on saying, I really, really must try and do that at some point, and I've yet to do it. And February 2021, once again, I'm really going to try and make time and do the Fake It Challenge. And so that is my whistle stop tour of ways in which you can use the paradox of choice in your favor by reducing your options and focusing your creative juices when you're writing your songs along unexpected lines. You know, who can say whether Daleks should perform love songs or not until we've actually heard a few, or more than a few, or lots. It's a strange world out there. Let's make it stranger. So Wobby says, yep, you can do it in Cakewalk too. Okay, good. So that, I think, is pretty much all I have to cover for this, because it is now 22:19 here in the UK. So I've been going hour and 20. By the time you've watched this, it'll probably be about 50 minutes on YouTube, because I'll be blathering, because I always do. Wills Robbins says he should scream. That do you? That's kind of it. So thank you very much for keeping me company this evening. I know you guys are masters of creative energy. You know, Mel has just spent the last goodness knows how many weeks creating an absolutely staggeringly good original score for Fritz Lang's 1927 classic science fiction movie Metropolis. Wobby can instantly write songs that just get kids in a room bellowing their lungs out, and I've seen her do it. And Wobby, your way with kids' songs is awe-inspiring. I love what you do. And working with things like the Chaos Signing Choir as well is superb. So I know you guys know the stuff out here. I hope that when this crops up in somebody's why don't you look at this on Twitch? Or if somebody stumbles across the transcription, goodness knows what that's going to read like on YouTube, or searches for various things, or is just looking through old streams of mine, and why are you doing that? Then I hope it comes in useful. But more than that, I hope it's got you intrigued enough to think, yes, maybe I shall take part in February album writing month, because that's why I'm doing these shows. I want you out there, random person who I don't know, who has not cropped up in the chat. I want you to have some of the amount of fun that we have taking part in February album writing month every year, because it is so much fun, and you get to meet and work with and create with lovely people from one side of the planet to the other. And that takes me back to yesterday's King's Place event, which took in over 140 guests from all 7 continents. Yes, Robin actually had a phone call with a scientist who was studying species of albatross on Bird Island in Antarctica. It was sublime. Go over to the Cosmic Shambles website and check out the clips when they crop up. And next Saturday night, because everything overran and the internet broke at 3 o'clock in the morning for 50 minutes and they missed Eric Idle's time slot, they are doing another show. It won't be 24 hours, but next Saturday, probably at around about 7 p.m, there will be another Cosmic Shambles charity streamathon with Robin, with Steve, with the gang, with Trent and Melinda Burton, wrangling everybody, poking everybody with a stick, making the internet work, keeping the servers wrangled. It will be a delight, because these things are always a delight and I can't recommend them enough. And it's all to raise money for charity. And if you can spare some money to donate to the charities that are being supported by Cosmic Shambles this year, the Hammersmith Odeon show normally raises at least £60,000 for charities like Médecins Sans Frontières or Doctors Without Borders if you don't speak French. And that money is not there this year because the Hammersmith shows did not happen, because the Nine Carols show, apart from yesterday's, did not happen. So they need to raise money for those charities who are really hurting, who are really needing the support at this awful time of this horrendous year. So, and if you can't spare any money, go and tune in anyway, because they're just so much fun. I will be back on Thursday with Twitch live stream, my regular Thursday show number 31. I can't believe I've been doing this for 30 weeks. I will be back here a week today at 2100 GMT, blathering on about something else that will help your songwriting creative juices flow, hopefully a bit better than they would normally do. And Ryako Music says, go get some sleep, you crazy kid. I will indeed. So whatever you're doing, have a good rest of Sunday. Have a good week. Look after each other. Stay safe, stay well, stay sane. Wear a damn mask. And I hope you manage to do your Christmas shopping if you celebrate such things. And I will see you on Thursday at 19:30 GMT right here. Same bat time, same bat channel. So good night all.